how do we, those who want to support an organization like yours, which whether you're here in Richmond or somewhere else in the country, fortunately, there are other programs out there throughout the country, not enough, but there are. Mm-hmm. Or how do we, as the listeners, how can we help support an organization like yours?
There are multiple ways to do that. If you're not here and available to volunteer, for us, we have a donation page where you can donate, and it's a tax-exempt write-off for you. We have people that will donate items to try and help the moms as well. We also have people that will donate gift cards, small gift cards to be able to give to mom or our doulas to help with gas or food. Mm-hmm. And so those are some ways of helping with the cause of trying to make a difference. What I try to tell our supporters, I remind them of one thing. We are on GuideStar under Capital Diaper Bank. 95% of what comes into our organization goes back out into the community.
Which is wonderful.
And that's one thing that we have strived to maintain. And yes, it's hard to do, but if that means that someone has to forego something within our organization so that our clients' needs are met, we do that. And we've been doing that for a very long time.
Which is wonderful. Mm-hmm. And such a heartfelt way of doing business, because it is a business. But that can only be sustainable for a period of time, too, before the organization itself and the people within it will suffer, too. So that is where donations and grant money and so forth are so important. Exactly. We're going to have a place where resources will be listed that about this organization and about donations and so forth on our website podcast page. So for everybody who's listening, you can take a look at this program that we're talking about and what you could do to help, or looking into other organizations in your own communities where you can put forth an effort in whatever way you can to support this kind of work. I guess another question I have, Stephanie, is we know that breastfeeding is an optimal way. I mean, since that's what we were given breasts for, was to feed our babies. What is the breastfeeding success or not, or barriers in the community of women that you're working with?
All of my moms start with breastfeeding.
And did they want to breastfeed right from the beginning, or was this new information to them?
Some did and some didn't.
Okay.
We get a variety of different moms that come in, and some are not sure about having a baby latch on them. They may have personal boundaries that may get in the way of all that. So we're working to break down those barriers before baby comes. The challenges are that moms don't like when their babies cry.
Right.
And if baby is crying and it is in any way, shape, or form attached to the breastfeeding and they're not able to console them, what we find is mom will start to supplement with formula. And so we've been really working on that so that we can sustain breastfeeding for a longer period of time. Mm-hmm. I've only had one mom that came in and did breastfeeding in the hospital and did not do breastfeeding when she got home.
Okay.
But by the time we're reaching 3 to 6 weeks, we're seeing moms say, I need to have formula. I've got to have formula because I've got to feed the baby more because the baby's crying. And I think that some of that has to do with the cultural aspects too, of thinking that baby's not getting enough. And so we really worked on trying to help mom understand that first 6-week period is that period where baby is also adjusting.
Right.
And so the crying spells and things like that are not as a result. It can be, yes, because they are hungry, but it's other things as well. And so being able to help them identify what those things are and to help them console their baby in other ways versus going and getting a bottle and starting to feed their baby.
Well, and I think that if there isn't good support around breastfeeding for anyone, there's easily going to be a drop-off, just because you do need support. Most people need support.
Right.
And we know that breastfeeding babies need to they need to eat often.
Right.
More commonly, they need to eat more often.
Mm-hmm.
And that can feel overwhelming, but also if they don't have good support around them, they have people who are saying, the baby's not getting enough.
Right.
Give the baby formula.
They feel pressure.
Yeah, feel a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And if they, in their own culture or their peers or their family, if breastfeeding wasn't the norm, then that much more of a reason why formula.
There was a stigma,
Yes.
It's a stigma attached to breastfeeding sometimes in the African American community. And so, we're breaking down that stigma. But I will tell you that, again, every one of my moms that has come through on the birth side has wanted to breastfeed with the exception of one. And so that just shows you that, okay, now we just need to arm our moms and give them the tools that they need to be successful with breastfeeding, and they're going to do it. We have to watch our language too in terms of trying to teach our moms about breastfeeding, because what I find sometimes is when mom comes home from the hospital that they've already been introduced to supplementing.
Right, at the hospital.
Right. So we want to watch our language and we want to watch what we're doing, because when you're doing that, then you're basically saying to mom that, you can breastfeed, but it's not going to be enough. So here's this formula here because you're going to need this.
I know.
You see, and so already in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, well, my body's not going to do this. Oh my goodness, my baby is crying. I don't want that. There's that formula. Let me go ahead and get it. And that's why we've got to watch that. And, with our program, it's great because we're there at 24 hours. We're there.
That's the big difference.
And so we're giving them a lot of support. We're doing the breastfeeding education class as well in their childbirth education now. And so we're seeing differences in how moms are responding to breastfeeding.
And I think, the stigma that you brought up, I don't think a lot of people know that in the African American community, there is a stigma around breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Can you just speak to that for a moment so that there is a greater understanding?
Yeah. Just even for myself, it was not something that was ever brought up as an option. I knew that it was something I needed to do, but it was never any one person that I saw in my family or friends or network that breastfed. I see grandmothers and moms who will approach their daughters when they're trying to breastfeed, and it's an immediate reaction of almost in some ways a concern that, are you really going to do that? That's not something that we do. You need to give that baby formula. You need to give that baby rice cereal, because that's what we used to do many, many years ago. And so that's what we face. And every household's a little bit different. Of
course.
And it's hard to pinpoint one thing if it's one thing or the other in a family. Every dynamic is different. I find that the younger the mom is, the harder it is for her to establish and keep breastfeeding going.
Why do you think that is? Is it their age? Is it the fact that people are still thinking of them as their child? Or
I think it's a combination of different things. Most of my teen moms that come through, they already in their mind say that they're bottle feeding. And so in our conversations in the home setting, when we're trying to talk to them about breastfeeding, mom, not mom that's about to be a mom, but mom over mom.
The grandmother.
Yeah. She says, she's going to need to bottle feed because she's going to be going back to school.
Right.
And so, that already, nixed that.
Right.
So,
can you address that if they wanted to still breastfeed, that they could?
They absolutely can continue to breastfeed even if they have to return back to school.
Right.
What we try to do, if we know that mom is going to breastfeed and they're in school, is we will contact the social worker at the high school that they are at to speak with them to find out what the policy and procedure is for mom to be able to do that. I think that that's a hard conversation because it's the population is not a pregnant population that's walking around in school. So you may have one or two high schoolers that are expecting that are going to be coming back. And if they're breastfeeding, this system is not designed to allow them to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And so, there are a lot of inherent challenges with being able to breastfeed and returning back to school.
Well, and I think your point also, I want to go back to about being given the formula when they're in the hospital and they're going home with I mean, there's so many people who feel that is so totally wrong because of just what you're saying.
Right.
We also understand there's the other side of that is that, well, put aside the business side of it, that it can be helpful to people. I mean, if we're talking about diapers aren't available, but that's another aspect. Formula is so expensive.
Yes.
It's so expensive. And how much of that is actually subsidized in the programs?
If they go through WIC and they qualify based on their income, then they will provide them with a certain number of cans, which is supposed to last them throughout the entire month. And then they come back and get their new set, of formula. But there are some babies that come home that have specialized formula and specialized needs. And in those cases, they have to get approval for WIC to be able to help them with formula.
Yeah, so if they don't have that, then they're on their own.
They're on their own.
You know what I noticed? My adult children pointed this out to me, that in the grocery stores, and I never noticed this because formula isn't what I am paying attention to, formula is locked up.
What?
Yeah, it's in so many of the places, it's locked up.
The cost.
And I just, that in itself has such a huge statement to me that they're afraid that people are going to steal it, I guess. And then don't they think, why are people stealing formula?
Right.
Like, who would steal formula?
Right. Other than someone that would need it.
That somebody needs it. I mean, it just, and looking at the price of the formula is so expensive.
We had a situation where we had moms that were running out of formula. And so what was happening is, and you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to water down formula. But imagine how many moms probably do that. Oh,
we know that in developing countries. That is one of the big issues, is that the formula companies bring in the formula and then they're running low, so they are diluting it, and often they're diluting it with water that also is not healthy.
Right.
And so their child is then in greater distress.
It's devastating. It can create some huge issues. And we've addressed that in our situation. We do have formula that we also keep.
I'm sure.
We don't bring formula to mom and say, here you go, this is their stash, and you keep that.
We have it
but
to
we
help.
have it if we do know that mom has gone to formula, we do keep a tab on how much formula they have. We make sure that they understand how to mix their bottles, how to sterilize their bottles properly. But we also make sure that if they are running low, that they know what to do, that they can come to us. Because our goal is not to be judgmental in whether or not you're breastfeeding or you're bottle feeding. It's about the safety and health and nutrition of our babies. And if you don't have the resources to be able to get certain things, we need you to communicate that to us so we can help you with that.
Right.
We're always and forever at the very beginning going to always talk about breastfeeding. We want a healthy, established breastfeeding pattern so that your milk can come in and you can feed your baby, because your body is developed to do this.
Right.
But we also know that there are some women where there are challenges with that. And then we have women who have made that decision to exclusively bottle feed.
Right.
And all of those things we say are okay, because I don't want someone walking around holding that guilt.
Absolutely.
Of the decision that they made. Now, I can't feed my baby my breast milk, and so I feel like I'm a failure.
Right.
I hear those stories.
Right.
But more than not, what I have is breastfeeding moms who want to breastfeed, but the baby was supplemented with formula in the hospital or brought home with it, and so that they're doing double duty on that. And we really want to try not to do that. We want them to breastfeed exclusively.
Right. But what I hear you saying is you want women to know what their options and choices are. Help them have an informed decision-making process.
Exactly.
And once they have that, then we accept what their choice is.
Correct.
And we support them as best as we can for that choice.
Correct.
Yeah. And that should be the goal of everyone.
Right.
In this time of our country, with so much happening and transitioning and cuts appearing to happen for women's health care, this must be of some concern
yes,
to not only you, but your clientele.
Yeah. it was one of the things that we talked about as the presidential election was going, and the fact that as we transitioned out of the from Obama to our new president, that there were going to be some changes, that we knew there were going to be some impacts and cuts to coverage through Medicaid programs and also community support programs. Because, we focus so much on the insurance piece that we also, we fail to recognize that we have a lot of state organizations and community organizations that are funded by the state or funded federally.
Right.
And so when those cuts occur, it affects everybody. And grassroots organizations become even more important in those instances because we are not underneath of that red tape, and we're not funded underneath of those organizations, but we still all have the same issue.
Right.
So what I'm expecting is more of an influx of moms coming into us because we are a volunteer organization. These larger organizations are expecting cuts of programs that really do help moms to thrive, even through Department of Health on down the line, Healthy Families, WIC, all these changes that are being made. And sadly, we have to make the decision on what needed services cut and what is kept, and being able to balance which one is the one that is of higher priority can be difficult when they're all priorities.
How do you triage?
Right. How do you triage it?
Yeah.
And so, in this changing climate, it is very difficult, I think, and it's concerning times, because as we start making those types of changes, we almost take steps back to many years ago.
That's
when women were having to make changes and choices that they never should have to make.
Well, and the women you're working with already have such challenges.
Right.
So to add to that, and
it's hard.
Yeah, and they themselves may not even know what those challenges are, but you do.
Right.
And I know you're trying to prepare ahead for it, but I think we all don't know what to prepare for, though, at the same time.
Right.
But I think that what you're bringing up is the importance of grassroots, is really, and support for those grassroots, that if you yourself aren't the person who can start a grassroots effort or be involved in it physically, there are other ways to support it. Financially is one of the big ways. I mean, I have had the good fortune in my life to know some people who had a lot of money. And at times they will say, it is so easy for me to write a check. Just let me write a check. And I'm like, thank God you exist. Right. Because that's not easy for me to do, but I am so glad it is for you, and because that's what we need. We still need money.
Yeah, and you love people that have those hearts to give, and are the people who are able to separate the anger of what's going on in society from compassion and love and support. That's what you need.
Exactly.
We have to get away from what I personally think is right and what this person should be doing, to what can I do to try and help make a difference, because everything that we do makes a difference.
Oh, it does. And, that's where I feel like anger serves a purpose. It often makes us aware, and it brings us into action, but you can't stay in that anger.
Right.
You have to take that passion, which is what's creating the anger,
exactly,
into that compassionate care. And that's what will last for a good period of time. And the other thing, and I'm saying this to you who's so in the trenches, we can't be, this is something I say a lot in the podcast, in my life, in the teaching, in the workshops that I teach, we can't be attached to the outcome.
Right.
We can't. We have to continue to do. And if you're doing it, it does make a difference, like you said. I guess another question I have is, and this just popped into my head. I would assume you said you also work with refugees or immigrants, so that must be of great concern, especially right at this moment.
Yes, exactly.
What's going on, and that working with people who are not U.S. citizens must create a whole nother social service aspect that is huge.
It's horrible. We have a family that came in, and in this particular case, mom is not a U.S. citizen, but because of their financial situation, they are unable to afford to do the things that they need to do so that she can apply through immigration to become a U.S. citizen. Then you have mothers that come in that we're providing a service to them. They have the fear of not being able to receive services here, or maybe even having to go back home, being torn away from their families.
Yeah.
And it increases that level of stress to the point where, again, we get back to that basic need, you know, and now I can't focus on what's going on with my pregnancy and having a healthy pregnancy because I'm running.
Right. I'm trying to survive.
Right. I'm just trying to survive. And it introduces a whole different dynamic when we start talking about support for our moms from a birth perspective, because they don't even know if we're going to be able to continue to work with them long term.
Yeah. So
it's a short term, in their minds, it may be a short term relationship. So it affects attachment.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that aspect of it, the attachment too, because I don't know if I'm even going to be here.
Exactly.
What about I know that because stress is there in those people's lives, and we know that stress can have a direct impact on the physical, not just the emotional and mental, that's the obvious, but the physical. Is there a higher premature rate? Is there?
Yes, even when we first started, and not just, I'm rolling our refugees in to this, but when we first started working with our moms, we hadn't put all the pieces together, you know, but we're still kind of working with our mothers, and we were seeing moms delivering several weeks prior to their due dates, wondering what's going on. And then we had referrals in for NICU babies. We had a lot of NICU babies that came in. And we said, well, what's happening? And as we started talking to moms, we realized that their situation was so grave and so stressful that they just could not hold on to that baby long enough to provide that environment for that 9 months that the baby needed to stay. And it was the anxiety. It was not being able to, or not wanting to eat, not drinking enough, not having proper rest. And those are some of the core things we talk about every time we go in. Are you getting these things?
God,
because if
Stephanie,
you're not,
I just want to scream right now when I think about this.
Yeah, because it's a direct impact. And we do know that anxiety and, high levels of stress impact the pregnancy, but it also impacts the baby long term.
It does.
And so, and that's through after baby's born up through years. Right. And so if we're trying to stop that, we need to address those things. We need to bring that level of stress down for that mom. We need to provide that support that she needs. And the only way we can do that is to address those basic needs. But yeah, it was a huge issue. And as we've learned, when moms come through our program now, it's an immediate thing we address. So we have a food pantry, we've got clothing, we get their baby layette set up because we don't want them to worry about what baby needs. Right. They have it all.
That's wonderful.
And so in that way, we've been able to, for us on the birth side, prevent premature deliveries.
Which is just, this is where, again, I have heard it said recently and multiple times by an organization speaker that a doula is a luxury, that they should not be, that everyone doesn't deserve a doula, whereas we feel very strongly, and here's the reason why. Right. Everybody, and I mean, no matter their circumstances, people have stress in their life, period. To have somebody who cares about you for this period of time, who is really focused in on you. I know that, you know that, as humans, what that makes us feel like. Once we get past our, humbling feeling or our shame that, I'm accepting help, if we really are paying attention, that person just wants to give it with no strings attached. Right. What a difference that makes in somebody's life. And for somebody who is bringing a little human onto this planet, at this time, especially, or any time, how much more important that they know that they're cared about.
Exactly.
And so the thought that people don't receive this regularly, the thought that you can be pregnant, be homeless, or in a precarious home situation, or financially really struggling. So food is, well, I can eat this much, but I'm going to run out, and I'll buy this cheap crap because it's cheap, and I only have this much, and sustain your body on poor junk. Junk. That's going to add to all of the health issues also of them themselves. I mean, I would assume some people already come in with comorbidities, with health issues from their lives, just how they live. And then you have to address that.
Yeah.
So I assume that your doulas really do have to be well prepared that this isn't your birth situation. Yeah. It's going to be. Mm-hmm. But you're dealing with so many other aspects.
Right. It is. And it is a wake-up call when someone finally gets a chance to really work with a mom. And I've had it every time. And it's a beautiful experience. And I'm drying a lot of tears. Yeah. And it's very difficult for people to understand how this could happen. Mm-hmm. And it's not because of ill preparation on the mom's part, but the society that's created a lot of those things.
Oh, that's it. I mean, this is why this has to exist everywhere, because people blame people without looking at, well, you think this person would make this choice? Mm-hmm. This is the choice that they would make. And then condemning them for choices that they did make without understanding that there's survival going on. And it's not to condone some people's choices. It's to understand those so that we can change them.
I agree that I like that statement about understanding and the condoning piece, because I think sometimes people try to mesh the two together and you get lost in all of that. And you have to separate the two to understand. And yes, there's going to always be, that segment of a population that may not be doing, what we think is the right thing to do,
the optimal
and the optimal thing to do. But in that same token, you need to be able to get down in there to see what's going on and to understand. So then that way you can see kind of what we see.
Exactly.
Is, it's totally different. And you mentioned something about nutrition, and I speak to people about this because it is really important to understand that the way, at least in our city and in most cities probably, how our system is built is that when retailers come in, they're not necessarily looking at going into those hubs where there are lower income areas or even a mixture. And so as a result, for many of my moms to get to a Walmart or a place where they can, Aldi or anywhere that they can, get affordable food, it can be a 20 or 30 minute drive.
Exactly.
And if you are not driving, then essentially what you're going to is the 7-Eleven or the corner store or the small supermarket that charges twice as much and doesn't have the fresh fruits and vegetables that you need.
Exactly.
It is an absolute fact. And so when we start to talk about, well, why can't we stretch our dollars to make these good decisions on our health and nutrition and things like that, we have to recognize what surrounds us can also impact.
Absolutely. I mean, I've done many births with families who are in poverty. Mm-hmm. And a lot of their grocery shopping, and I have witnessed it myself being in a dollar store, carts full of the young moms with carts full of just the worst food. Yeah. But understandable why they're there, why they are using their money to buy this food, because it's cheap. But there's no, there might be a can of beans in there that has some nutrients to it, but the rest of the stuff is just, there's nothing fresh. Right. And I think that people don't understand that. I mean, the term, and I think more people are getting aware of, is, there are food deserts. Right. And that's where we could be so helpful in helping organize transportation or shopping trips. Yes. To get people and help people understand what is good food to buy. Like the comparing, that just label reading.
Exactly.
I mean, and that goes across our culture in America.
Overall.
I mean, I've heard so many people say, I don't want, I'm lazy. I don't want to read the label. And it's like,
I read labels. It's horrible. I go in and I'm reading labels left and right. But it's a reason why. And it's so that I can educate my moms and my patients.
Exactly.
On what is good to eat and maybe not some, heavily laden in sugar and
and the
salt
sodium
and things like that. So, I do it for that reason and, just because I'm curious. But yeah, it's important.
So childbirth education in your group, is it like a centering pregnancy kind of childbirth where everybody does it together? Or?
Yes. We this series we're going to start with 5 young moms because we're going to be testing the inclusion of the postpartum piece and the yoga piece with it. We find that our groups do better in small groups, not large.
Small meaning what
small
size?
Meaning about 5 to 6 max.
Okay.
Because there's a discomfort with having too many people in a room at any given time. So we try to address that need. Okay. Some people don't mind that, but I find that my moms do not like large groups.
Okay, that's good.
And so we are actually a centering pregnancy provider.
Okay.
It's something that we have the concept and we're kind of introducing it, but we want to roll that in within the coming year to do that as well.
So they'll do childbirth education, learning about the pregnancy, learning about what to expect in labor and birth, and then postpartum care.
They're going to do postpartum and newborn care
and breastfeeding.
Yep.
And then they'll have the option to take yoga, or is that part
We're
of it?
We're adding that to it.
So they'll do yoga as well.
Yep.
And how long is this program going to be?
You mean as far as the classes? That's 5 weeks. It's a 5-week session.
Okay.
If we pick up mom in second trimester, then she will see the doula up until her about 30, 32 weeks, and then we'll start adding in these additional classes. Okay. So she's already been working with her for a period of time before she starts.
I guess the question I have is, if the majority of your clientele currently are African American, what is the population of your doulas?
They're all mostly Caucasian.
So how does that work? How does that feel is that a barrier? Is that a problem for the women who they're serving?
I talked to the moms about that, and they have not said that has been an issue for them. But you have to keep in mind, too, that when we talk about trust, that's really not established until we can get face-to-face and talk. And so through that helps them to break down whatever other barriers might be there. I think that if we were in a room and just set up a table and said, hey, everybody come, and all my doulas were sitting at the table, we would have less of a response if they just kind of looked and saw that most of my staff was Caucasian. But in that same token, I can take the same program, put us behind a telephone, and we can talk, and I can do a first meeting with a mom, and mom be just fine because she loves the interaction that we had. It's just kind of different, right?
Yeah, it's great. But that's good. I mean, if the world would only work that way, right?
Right, exactly.
On a regular basis, where we're all there for a common cause to help each other. But I would assume, because I've been told many times through my history of working in birth and running this organization, that there can be an issue with that I am a Caucasian, and that I have run up against this with training sometimes, that women of color don't want to take the training because it's a Caucasian who runs the organization and is going to teach it. Right. And I respect that. Yeah. We all make our choices based on what feels comfortable. But I like how there is a break in the barrier also. And that has been my experience, that when I end up having women of color either as clients or in my classes, we all come together for one particular reason. Right. We want to offer compassionate care. Exactly. And if people really come from that place, I think it speaks to it. Right. But I do agree that I don't have any idea what it's like to be Black. Right. I don't. Right. And I know that I will never understand that. Right. So if I'm with a woman who is African American, then I have to appreciate that I can't fully embrace her life experience.
Right.
But then again, I can't fully embrace anybody's life experience.
Right. That's true.
But how do you, in your interviewing, in your processing with the doulas that you are having as volunteers, is that a part of the conversation about that these women are coming from a different stress level just by the very nature of the color of their skin?
I explain to them, I don't focus more so on the color aspect. I focus on the level where they are as far as level of poverty and the experiences that they have and challenges that they're having. I try to bring down people down from the level of, everyone should have this class and I just don't understand why it's not paid for, and I don't understand why so-and-so's missing their appointments, and I don't understand why every time I try to call this person on the telephone, they're not answering me. And so I try to explain, okay, this is what's going on in this community, in a lower income community where there's a level of poverty. You have a cell phone that has a certain number of minutes. Mm-hmm. You can text unlimited, but after those minutes are gone, they're gone. So if you're trying to call and you're not reaching someone, more than likely that's the reason why. Either they're conserving their minutes or they've run out. I'm explaining, well, why is so-and-so losing weight? Okay, well, last month, this is what happened. And, it could have been something catastrophic that caused a situation where she did not have enough funds to be able to purchase her food. Or maybe someone said that they were going to take her to the grocery store and she didn't. And she had to go down the street, like you said, to a dollar store, to a Dollar General. And so she didn't get everything that she needs, but she recognized she needs it. So I try to explain
that
situation.
Right.
And because when we start getting into, okay, because of the color of her skin, she's not receiving this, we miss the details of what is happening in the community as a whole. So yes, the population of women that I serve, the majority are African American, but the majority of people that are in poverty experience this.
Right.
And I don't want to take away one from the other, but I don't think that there is a taking away of one or the other. I think that it is all in that same bowl. And as a result of that, these are the challenges that we have in the situation that we have. And while we have to be very diligent in what we're doing to change what's happening, it is a sad situation for me to hear from the African American community that, because someone is Caucasian, I'm not willing to step out of those boundaries to allow them to teach me. Mm-hmm. But it is because of a lack of trust, mm-hmm. And a lack of, again, being able to understand why I'm in the situation that I'm in. And also, too, I think as well, when we look at the African American community, it's about judgment. And that we don't want to feel judged about certain things that are happening. And so if there's any feeling of any of those types of things and that mistrust is there, that's going to create that situation where I don't want to take a class from this person because of that. Right. And again, breaking those cultural barriers means that we've got to get in there and we've just got to sit down and say, you know what? Talk to me. Let me know what is going on.
Yeah. My words always are meet the person where they are and let them meet me where I am. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. And then I think we can let go of the economic mm-hmm. and the racial and cultural mm-hmm. and religious barriers. Right. By just understanding, okay, where are you at? Mm-hmm. And what is it that I can do to support you through this in any way? Do you see a time... We're going to start to wrap this up, but do you see a time when or is there already a place where women who have gone through your program will come back into the program not as a client, but potentially as a mentor themselves?
We've had several moms that have asked to be able to do that once they're stable. Yeah. And because it feels good to be able to receive and to give back, and they feel like that's something that they can do. We had also explored opportunities for our moms to go through doula trainings mm-hmm. and doula programs mm-hmm. because then that helps them from a career standpoint, but also helps them to be able to give back to other moms as well.
Well, that is something that we love to do. So mm-hmm. you and I can talk about that as well for our community, that I just feel like I know I can't be everywhere. Right. And I know, nor should I be the person everywhere. Mm-hmm. So if we can help train people mm-hmm. to be in their community, to give that support. And you know what, I mean, I feel this very strongly. Anybody who takes our doula training, whether they ever attend a birth or not, they'll always do birth work.
Right.
Because once you know the information, you can't not know the information.
Right.
So people just benefit from the knowledge to be able to pass on to those their peers, whomever they're encountering.
Exactly.
And it sounds like there's a definite place for that in your community program as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I feel like I just want to hug and kiss you. It makes me want to weep, because it gives me such hope that you are doing this work, that there are people who are willing to support your work. And I know you have many, like, what is your dream? I guess that's how we can kind of finish this up. Where do you see this going?
Oh, my goodness. I see this program being something that's statewide, that is recognizable as an organization that meets moms where they are in their homes and provides them with that care and acceptance and support that they need to have healthy pregnancies. I don't want it to just be based in just one area.
Right.
I want organizations, I want health insurance companies, statewide officials to be able to say, this is what we need to do for our mothers, for our women in our community. And this is what we're going to roll out to help support them. And I think that it needs to be throughout the state, not just something so localized.
Right, because, and people will say, well, there's state agencies to do this. But as we've already talked through this hour, is that they don't. They do the best that they can, given their resources or what their agendas are. But we know that there has to be the grassroots efforts. Exactly. There has to be the independent organizations. And people also have to feel like there's no competition about this. Right. Also, like, let another Urban Baby Beginnings begin somewhere else. And even if it's under a different name, just help.
Just do it.
Just do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And because I think people also get caught up in, well, I don't want to compete, or look, they're doing this and we're doing this, and now they're going to get the funding and we're not going to get the funding. I can understand that. Right. But in the end, we know that there isn't it's like the same thing I say about doulas. And people get really concerned about doulas, more new doulas in the community, like they're going to take away our business. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. I mean, there aren't enough of us out there to serve all of the people who, if everyone deserves a doula, then there isn't enough of us, because there's 4 million births a year, and there aren't 4 million doulas doing births on a regular basis. So I think there is that need. Is there any last thing you want to talk about, Stephanie?
I just ask the listeners out there to listen to your hearts and remember that what you do and the choices that you make to help organizations like ours really does make a difference. And I just want to see people in this light and this era band together to try and make a difference in the world. And part of that is supporting our babies before they're even born.
No kidding.
You know, what better way to start life off than to enter a world that is viewed as beautiful as it can be.
I agree.
And part of that is creating that environment to allow that. And we all need that support. And so I just ask the listeners to remember that. And in everything that you do, remember again that people don't care what you know until they know that you care, and put that in everything that you do.
That's beautiful. And what could be more important? Really, I mean, we were all born. Mm-hmm. So this should be a number one issue. Whether you think those babies should be coming or not, it is irrelevant. They're coming. Right. So let's begin supporting at the very beginning. And absolutely. I love, say it again. It's not that people do not care what you know unless they know that you care. Yeah. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for taking this time to talk to us. No, thank you. And for everyone who's listening, we will post their website and information on the podcast webpage. So take a look, and I'm sure Stephanie is very open to any questions if that's something that you're looking to organize yourself or are already a part of. I'm sure that you can reach out and get some input from her or somebody in the organization.
Absolutely. So. Email, phone call, Facebook.
We're
available a multitude of different ways, and guaranteed you'll reach me in some way or another. It'll be me talking to you, and I'm happy to extend my hand or heart or just listening ear to anybody that needs that help and support, but also whoever is interested in doing this. Yeah. We want to know who you are, because there are more of us needed.
Yeah, well, that's perfect. So thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thank you, Therese, for having us.
Thanks, everyone. I'll be right back. Well, I have to say, when I said at the end there, I just want to hug her. The conversation, she radiates her passion, and her motivation is just tremendous. And I did not get the opportunity to talk to Stephanie about what she does for her self-care, and I'm sorry. I probably have to have her on again to talk. We were really shocked that we spoke for so long. The time just flew by. So you're in for the long listening. I hope that has worked out well for you, and I hope it inspires you to know that the work that you're doing, on whatever level that you are doing it, is making a difference in people's lives, whether you are cognizant of that in a real sense, just know it for a fact, and that if you are able to extend yourself out to a community of women who could never afford a doula, even if it's every once in a while, or if it is within your ability to be able to do that, please consider looking for organizations like Urban Baby Beginnings, or just putting yourself out there on your own to give these women the support. Everybody, as we've always talked about, we believe deserves a doula, and we really feel strongly that this is the way that we change the world and make it, at least for that moment, a better place for that woman, that family, that baby coming into the world. So I just want to stop doing this work and just work for Urban Baby Beginnings is how I'm feeling right at this moment. But I'll keep doing this as well. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Any questions or comments can be happily received from us at ToRAISEQuestions@gmail.com. And again, to remind you, there will be some resources on the podcast page that Stephanie will provide to us so that you can have further information or contact if you want to get a hold of her. So take care of yourself, really take care of yourself. This just feels like a really intense time, or in many of our lives, it always feels intense. There's just another layer, I think, on all of us at this moment, and winter is never very easy to begin with. So take care of yourself, and we'll be back again soon. Bye now.